Hey everyone, welcome to byGoldenberry. I'm Tina, and in this tutorial we're going to be learning how to make these really cute snowflakes to hang on the Christmas tree, or you can use them as coasters, or you can turn them into a really nice snowflake garland as well. We're going to walk through the pattern together, and then I'm going to show you how to set them so that they keep their shape. And they're relatively flat. They still have a little bit of flop to them, but I quite like them like that. You can make them set harder if you like, but this is how I like mine. Okay, let's get started. For this pattern, you'll need a small amount of yarn. It's about 6 grams or 10 yards. It's not much really. So if you have any scraps lying around, it's perfect for that. I'm going to use hemp. You can also use organic cotton or linen. Something plant-based is best because of how we're going to be setting it afterwards. I'll include some yarn recommendations in the description below if you haven't got anything available to use. And you'll need a 2.5 crochet hook, a darning needle, some scissors, and a stitch marker. I'm going to be using a paper clip. We're going to start by chaining 8. So let's get the yarn on the hook. And begin by chaining 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we're going to slip stitch into that first chain to make a loop. There we have it. We have a small loop, and we should have 8 chains all the way around. So we're not counting the one that we just went into. So we count from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We count the slip stitch. Okay, so beginning round 1, we chain 1 and single crochet into that first chain. So here. And we're going to mark this stitch. We're going to mark this stitch because this is where we're going to slip stitch at the end of round 2. So we just need to keep an eye on that one. So from here, we're going to single crochet all the way around until we get to the marked chain. If we're counting, we're going to be making 7 single crochet stitches. If you're not sure how to single crochet, then please go and find my beginner tutorial on that explains it a bit better. So how many have we done now? That's the marked stitch. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to miss this stitch here because that's the chain 1. We don't want to do that one. We want to go straight into the marked chain and slip stitch to complete the circle. There we go. So we can remove this stitch marker. And we should have 8 stitches. So counting from here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To begin round 2, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And slip stitch into the next stitch. And we're going to do that 7 times. 3, 4, into the next stitch. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch into the next stitch. And we'll just carry on like that until we have 7. Meet me back here when you're finished. Okay, so we have 7 loops, 7 chain 4s, and to finish the round, we're going to chain 2 and then double crochet into this last stitch here. So we'll double crochet into there. Again, if you're not sure about double crochet, you can head to my other tutorial about that. So now we have our last loop here, our 8th loop, but doing that means we finish on the top here so that we can start again at this height. We can start round 3 on this level. So for round 3, we're going to begin by chaining 2 again. And we're going to slip stitch into the space, into the next space here. And we're going to do that 7 times again. So that's 3. 1, 2, 3. Meet me back here when you've slip stitched into the 7th space. So I've gone all the way around and slip stitched into 7 spaces. And to finish this round, we're going to chain 2 and slip stitch into the top of the beginning chain 2 that we did at the beginning of the round. So that's your first chain 1 and that's chain 2. So we're going to slip stitch into there to finish round 3. So if you look at the shape now, we should have, if you count all the stitches all the way around, you should have 24 stitches. But you can count the spaces instead, and you should have 16 altogether. So this is 1, 2, 3, and we're counting this one up here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So make sure you have 16 spaces. It's very important to be able to get the octagonal shape in the middle and the 8 icicles around the edge. To begin round 4, we're going to chain 2 again. And we're going to double crochet into the first space here. And at this point, we're going to start one of our icicles. So to do the icicle, we need to chain 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain. So if you go back and count to the 3rd chain, so 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch into there. And we're going to repeat that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and again slip stitch into the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch into the 2nd chain from the hook. and then slip stitch into the next 2. There we go. And then at this point we want to create another one of these, so we'll chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and slip stitch back into that space there, into that chain. And moving down the icicle, we're going to slip stitch into the next 3 chains. And repeat the same thing that we just did up here. So we're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and slip stitch back into that chain there. And we're going to carry on moving down, so we're going to slip stitch into the next 2. And there we have it, that's one icicle done. And next we need to double crochet into the next space. So this is where we did our first double crochet here. We're going to move into the next space and make 2 double crochet into there. Next we're going to chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and double crochet into the next space. And again, so we'll make 2 into that next space. And this creates our little point that we have in between the icicles. If we look at the finished one, we have a point here. So that's our chain 4, and this is our icicle. So what we're going to do is we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around into all the spaces. So now that we've double crocheted twice into the next space, we're going to make our next icicle. So we'll start again by chaining 9. And slip stitch into the 3rd chain. And do that twice. Then chain 3 and slip stitch into the 2nd chain from the hook. And slip stitch into the next 2. Then chain 6. Slip stitch back into that chain where we came from. and then slip stitch into the next 3 chains. We're just moving down the icicle to get to the right place. To make this next bit here on the opposite side. So we'll chain 6 again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slip stitch back into that space there. And then slip stitch into the next 2 to get to the bottom of the icicle. There we go, that's another icicle done. And to finish it off, we now double crochet into that next space, and be careful here because this next space is at the top here. It's like a little triangle. So we'll go into there and double crochet twice. And then we start the pattern again. We chain 4 to do the point. Double crochet twice into the next space. And begin your icicle again. So we'll carry on like that until we have 7 icicles. So meet me back here when you have 7. So I've reached the point where I have 7 icicles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And to finish off, we need 8 icicles altogether. So we're going to carry on and do our last one together. So we need to chain 4 and double crochet into our next space, which is there, twice, like we've been doing this whole time. Start making our last icicle. Okay, and then we find our last space and double crochet again twice. Chain 4. And to finish the round, we're going to slip stitch into the initial chain 2 that we made at the beginning of the round, which is here. So we'll find our first chain. This is it here, 1 and 2. We need to slip stitch into there to finish the final round. And there we go, we have 8 icicles altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we should also have 8 points. So just make sure that you have 8 of each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And there we go. It's nearly complete. We just need to weave in our ends, and then we'll go through how to set the snowflake so that it keeps its shape and it's relatively flat. So meet me back here when you've woven in your ends. If you're not sure about how to weave in your ends, please go and find my other tutorial, and I'll meet you back here when you're done. All my ends are woven in and we're ready to start setting. And what we'll need to set this snowflake is 8 pins and a blocking board, or if you don't have a blocking board, I just use a piece of card that I have lying around. It just works the same. It's completely fine. And some homemade setting solution. I made this earlier, and the way that I make this is I use 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and 235 ml of water. Use some of the water to make a small paste with the cornstarch, and then I heated the rest in a small pan. And once the water is warm in the pan, I pour the paste into the water and keep stirring on low heat until it becomes kind of gloopy and thickens up a little bit. And once you reach that stage, turn the heat off and pour in another 235 ml of cold water and leave it to cool down completely. That's really important. It needs to be cool before you use it. So this is what I made earlier, and you can keep it in the fridge. I've had this in the fridge overnight, and you can reuse it if you like. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our snowflake and we're just going to dip it straight into the solution like that. It gets a bit messy, so make sure you've got something to wipe your hands on afterwards. And we're just going to turn it around, make sure it's completely saturated, give it a rub so that the starch gets into all the fibres. Make sure it's completely soaked. And then we can squeeze it out, squeeze out the excess. I'm just going to move this bowl to the side. Wipe my hands a little bit. And then we'll take our piece of card and place it on the card like that. And just use our pins to pin it down into the position that we want. So I'm going to squeeze these points a little bit. Take my pin, stretch it out a little and pin it in like that. And do the same for each of these points. Give them a little bit of a squeeze and a pull. And also these, don't forget these points in the middle, just kind of squeeze them into shape. Or you can use some more pins and pin these as well, if you like. But I find that just pinning them, just pinching them into shape also works. Okay, just go around and pin it into shape and meet me back here. Okay, there we go. I did use some extra pins in the end to do the points in the middle as well. So just pin it down like that and just leave it to dry overnight. And that's it. That's all you need to do. You just leave it to dry, and then after it's fully dry, it will end up being like this, still a bit floppy, but flat, and it keeps its shape. And at this point, you can then attach a piece of string if you like to hang it from the tree, or make a garland, and then you can string them all together. Or, like I said, it's a good shape for using as a coaster. So however you like to use them, really. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments and I'll answer them for you. And if you enjoyed this video, please press like and subscribe to the channel for more updates on patterns. And I'll see you next time.